A student asked me to talk a little bit about how what we're learning in DAD-220 with MySQL applies to sort of the broader landscape of software development. Ultimately, the simple answer is that any software system that wants to interact with a database is going to be generating SQL in some way and then sending SQL to that database. So I wanted to just kind of demo that and show what that looks like in concrete terms. But actually, before that, let's discuss just really quickly if you want to use MySQL on your desktop, which is what I'm going to be doing. You can just hit MySQL in Google and go to the site, and it's this community edition. And MySQL Community Server is what you want, and it'll give you this option to do this installer. So this is what you want. And then when you install this, just choose everything. There's nothing in there that's like really too big to install. But what this does come with is MySQL Workbench. And we're not using MySQL Workbench in this course, but it's worth having a look at just to get an idea of how you would be using MySQL in real life, because most people don't use just the command line tools that we're using in class. So let's look at that real quick. I've already done this. I've installed MySQL locally. So I'm running this command tool, and this will look familiar to you because this is what Codio is emulating. So I'm going to log in here. Show databases. So here are the databases that are listed on my system right now. This Sakila, S-A-K-I-L-A, is a sample database. It's kind of like the Northwind databases that come with Microsoft SQL Server. It's just a sample database of a fictitious movie rental operation. So let's look at that real quick. Use Sakila. So we're using Sakila, and now show tables to see what's in there. So you can see actor, actor info, all these tables are related, film actor, so on and so forth. So yeah, so if you want to select against any of these tables, of course, all this should look familiar at this point. Select star from actor. They're all the actors. So this is the command line interface. Now I'm going to pull up MySQL Workbench and connect to the same database that we were just looking at. Okay, so now I'm connected, and here again, this is the same view that we were doing when we were viewing the databases. So it's just in a nice graphical interface. So it's got this tree view. You can see the actors in the actor table. And then actually this is just showing like the schemas. So if you actually want to look at the data, I just right-clicked on that. I don't know a whole lot about this tool just because I don't use MySQL a ton in production. But this is doing under the covers, it's using SQL. So if you see this line that just got generated, this is just standard SQL. So we're learning the core functionality and the common language that all these tools use to talk to SQL, because underneath the covers, it's all doing SQL. So there are a lot of features in this tool. For example, the create table statements that we've been doing, there's a graphical user interface option for this. So let's just call this test 1. We'll add a field 1, an int, field 2, varchar. That's good enough. So we'll click apply. It's giving me a preview of what's going to happen. And here we go again with the standard SQL. In this class, we're just learning this common language. as fancy as these things get, it's ultimately just producing SQL. And this is a create table statement that you're definitely familiar with. Apply, execute SQL statements, okay. And there's the test1 database, or the test1 table rather, right there. That's my SQL workbench, and I just wanted to show it to you just so you can see how this application is built on top of SQL. It's not doing anything different than actually issuing straight SQL to MySQL. So let's look at actually building an app, and I'm going to use Visual Studio to do this. And we're going to build an app that just prompts you for the name of a table and then just gives you a list of the results. I'm going to open a new project. It's going to be a console app. And now I'm going to add the MySQL.NET libraries. The package command. Install package MySQL data. Okay, that's done. Copy in some code. And just discuss very briefly what this code is doing. So we're building a connection string. The name of the server is localhost, and we're going to be connecting to the Sequila database. User ID is root, password is root. Of course, don't ever do that in real life. This is just on my machine. There's nothing sensitive being stored in here. And so the connection string is going to be a concatenation of server, and then the server value, database, and the database value, user ID, and password. Then I'm going to paste this code here, and I can make this available for anyone who's interested. But this is going to be an infinite loop where we are prompting for a table name. We're reading the table name, line 24. And if the table name is blank, so if the person just hits enter here, this will be blank, and then return will cause us to exit this entire function, and we'll be done. Let me fix a namespace issue. Okay. So assuming we did not get a blank entry, the next thing we're going to do is instantiate a connection and execute a SQL statement, and actually build a SQL statement and then execute it. So this is the connection variable, and then we go into this try catch, and we've got it in a try catch in case there's something goes wrong. We're just going to report it down here in the exception handler, and then no matter what happens, we're always going to close the connection. So we're opening a connection, executing a SQL statement, showing the results, and closing it every time we get an entry. So here's the connection, which uses the connection string that we built up here, that variable. We open the connection, and then we build a SQL statement. And here again, this is what we're studying in this class, is that language right in there. Select star from, and then entry is whatever they entered. So this is going to be a dynamically built string that's going to be a SQL statement. Select star from blah. And then the next two lines here are creating a command from the SQL statement and the connection, and then executing a reader. And once we execute a reader, we go into this inner loop here that's going to print out the first field. And the first field, I'm doing it like this. I'm putting it, this is index 0. So this reader variable has an indexer here. So whatever number you put in there, that's the number of the column. So if you wanted the second column, for example, you could do 1 like that. You can also do the name of a column. So like if you knew the column is going to have name or title or whatever, but we don't know what table the user is going to choose. So we'll just do whatever the first column is. And that's it. So let's run this app. Now we're running, and I'm going to actually put a breakpoint in here so we can see how this, really see how this is working. So right now we're here with this console read line. I'll put a breakpoint there so we can step through each piece. So enter a table name. All right, I'm going to pull up the MySQL command again, and then let's do actor. So I will enter actor. Return. All right, and now here's our breakpoint. So our entry is actor. And now open the connection. Here's the connection string. And then construct the SQL statement. So the SQL statement has been built. Select star from actor. Create a command, execute a reader, and then begin outputting the first column out to the console. And here's the console. So it's done this twice, 1 and 2. And I'm just going to let this run. Continue. And there are all the actor IDs, all the way down to 200. And then our loop starts over again. Enter table name. We can pick another one. Trying to find one that they're probably all going to have these, city IDs. They've all got primary keys as the first column. So I'm going to change the code real quickly just to show how to pull other fields. So instead of just the first column, let's do first underscore name. This is only going to work with the actor table. Plus last name. So first name, last name. Delete my breakpoints. Name of the table, actor. So there's the first name and the last name of all the actors. So anyway, that's how you build software to generate SQL and then execute SQL against the database. And that's fundamentally what everything that deals with databases is doing. It's generating SQL and executing that SQL against the database. I hope this has been helpful. If you want to discuss any more of this, or you want this sample code to mess around with in C#, just let me know. I'd be happy to post it.